Welcome to Bottle Rocket with Elena Sucheva, your top hockey podcast. Hi everyone, welcome back to Bottle Rocket. I'm Elena. As always, I'm joined by my co-hosts Jerry and Maeve, and today we have a very special guest, a guy who needs no introduction, former Ranger, style icon, actor, author, the one and only Sean Avery. Hi, Sean. So
Hi,
excited to have you here. So
thank you
would
so much. Listen, anytime the Maven sends a invitation invite, you have to accept it. So,
Well, wait a minute. I'm not finished with this invitation bit. I am demanding from you an autographed pointing stick that you use. An autographed pointing stick. Now, I have one of my own that I wanted to show you, just in case. This is my pointing stick, you see.
yeah, little big.
I had to go with a prop, but you got a pointing stick, which means you're a professor, and you got this wonderful thing going. Tell us about your instruction, your hockey professorial business.
So it really started out of frustration, and I would say the frustration came from post-COVID bubble. I thought that the NHL took a wrong direction as a whole in how they played to be effective. Everyone decided that they were going to stop hitting. We were really going to open it up, and we were going to score goals off the rush and cross ice passes, and it was going to be this fast, incredible game. But the reality is that when you get into May, June, and possibly the first week of July, you have to dump and chase. You have to be hungry on pucks. You have to play old school hockey to win. So the pointer stick really just came out of self-soothing. And the thing that has happened now, it's taken a life on its own, because I think people, it's just simple. It's simplified. I remembered I had this thing one day. I was like, a pointer stick, because I was talking to the TV and talking. If somebody's on the subway and they can't see it, at least with the pointer stick, I'll tell you what it really was, Stan. It was to try and beat the TikTok algorithm, because it's all about shapes and movements. Alina's shaking her head. Yes, and then it just evolved into its own thing, and now it's its own program. And here's the other thing. I'm building a network. I'm a builder. So every game I get 2, 3, 4 more subscribers, and the number is growing. And I don't want to work for ESPN. I want to have fun. I want to be able to pull that pointer stick when I'm, in Aswara, Morocco, shooting a movie, and the finals is on. I want to be able to be mobile and give people what they want. And honestly, again, it's just satisfying for me, because I love the game. It's a beautiful game. It's a fast game. It's better than ever, in my opinion.
People are watching, and what if how do you get onto this? How do you subscribe? What's the trick?
I think there's a little button on Instagram that has a subscribe button now, much like, and you just hit that button and it charges you $2.99 a month, which, I mean, how much is a New York City subway now? I think
It's up to $3.
there you go. It's one subway ride a month. That's nothing.
In hockey, you break sticks. The action. Love this question. Did you ever break a pointed stick?
No,
In anger or otherwise.
No, but I'll tell you, a couple of times I've thought I've misplaced it, and I had sheer panic. It's like my pacifier. I don't want to watch a game without having one of the sticks. And honestly, people don't want to watch games with me unless I have the pointer stick.
If I was watching from your studio, this is what I would do, because I think it would be great. I would bring my own pointed stick and hide pointed stick you. I get 2 minutes for hide pointed stick.
No, but honestly, that would be interesting because think about over the course of time, like when did the teleprompter come in? And the teleprompter, I guess, essentially is the virtual pointer stick, where we're trying to show people different plays, dueling pointer sticks, dueling POVs. I'm welcome to that. You've watched enough hockey, I have to listen.
A helmet's mandatory?
No, no, we're too old.
I love the book, and I got to tell you, Sean, as a Canuck fan, I hated you.
Good, good, good.
Why? Why? Tell him why.
Yeah.
He was just such a, you know what, disturber on the ice, and I'm wondering, like, given the opportunity, and I'm not a violent guy, I would have taken the chance to get into your personal space and seek revenge, because that's how under my skin you got. And my first question is, why write the book? I mean, I assume you wanted to set the record straight, and you wanted people to know that what you are on the ice isn't what you are off the ice. Am I correct in that assumption?
I mean, honestly, now I think it was a preface to me entering into a different world of sort of theatrics and uh the next chapter. Like I think it was almost a purge to a certain extent. When I think about it now, when I was writing it then, it was just the next thing, it was the next opportunity that was presented to me. Um but yeah, I think about it now and I think it was opening a window into where I was going to try and end up, you know? Um, and probably self-sabotage to a certain extent. Who really knows? But I think it's a good piece of history to have because what it gave me the ability to do was I essentially, that book was based off of the template that Bowman, fair game. No, foul ball. No, who's the guy that invented? It's been so long now. The bubble gum, the pitcher, uh,
Jim Bouton.
Jim Bouton. There you go.
Ball 4 was the
Ball
book.
4. There you go. Stan's got it. So that was sort of the template, and because I had just finished playing, I still had recollection of a lot of things. Um, it's funny, we went to Detroit. The Red Wings had their centennial celebration a couple weeks ago, and I went back, and incredible to see guys like Joey Kosher. Joey looks great. I hadn't seen him in 15 years. A bunch of guys, but some people told me stories that I had no recollection of, and they were wild stories. They were stories, I mean, real Hall of Fame stories. I had no recollection of it. So my next book, what I want to do, I want to go to people and have them tell stories about me that I don't remember.
You know something? What I just I'm friendly with Larry Brooks's son Jordan,
Yep. Yep.
and you were very close to Larry. And what I told Jordan, and I did a column about Bobby Holik loved Larry,
I read.
and I told Jordan the other day that I want him to send me stories about his father, stories that were significant to him. And I'm going to, I told him I'll either do a column week if he's got good stories or cram them in. But I want to mention one thing that's very important, and that is what T-Bag just said about you was said about a lot of players over the years. I go back to Bobby Lesnicki of the Leafs, Teddy Lindsay, and so on and so forth. But off the ice, guys who are hateable, like T-Bag mentioned you, they don't understand, or they wouldn't know what a great guy you are off the ice. And in that regard, I have to say that when you had the restaurant downtown Manhattan and you welcomed my son Simon and the kids, the grandkids, but apart from that being a lovely, lovely afternoon, that was the best Caesar salad I ever had.
Well, the bar is no more. You know, we had a great run. COVID killed everything. Um, I think that's the duty that you have. You have to have the yin and the yang. And T-Bag, I would say to you, there's probably a lot of Ranger fans that really dislike Alex Burrows.
Gonna say that.
And I love and me, I loved that. I would love Alex Burrows on my team today in the NHL. My God, would that be a valuable player to have? I mean,
Mhm.
you can only wish. You can only wish. So,
Mhm.
but thank you, Stan. I appreciate the kind words. You have to have a balance because otherwise you're like a walking ball of hate. And you know, look at Brad Marchand. He goes to Florida. I'm sure they hated him. I mean, Sam Bennett, him, they had some history. They love him there now. They love him there now. And what a player he is. And the extension that he's adding on to his career. It's great to watch.
Sean, if you had a chance to rewind things and start your hockey career over again, would you change anything or would you play it exactly the same way?
No, no, I would have, you know, I probably would have listened to Steve Eiserman a little bit more and just shut up and play. Because he was that was he didn't say much to me over the years. He still hasn't said much, but that was a very clear. He said, "Just shut up and play." But to that point, what I'll say is the game was so much different back then. A Tuesday night in Long Island or New Jersey was a war. It was a war. You know, you had guys that had just been called up that were looking for a fight. There was so much more. You just couldn't you know, I feel like it was so different. You had to be on edge a little bit from a safety standpoint. And the games I see now, everybody cuts through the middle in the offensive zone and you just couldn't play that way. Like the way that these kids change the angle on shots in tight against coverage now, the reason we didn't shoot like that, obviously technology plays a part, but anytime you got that close from somebody, you were dead, you know? The Scott Stevens, the Bobby Holiques. I mean, everyone was Pandolfo. It didn't matter where you were. Eric Cairns on the island. You could just keep saying name after name, night after night. It was dangerous. So I try and put some perspective on it. Like, what could I have done? I should have tightened it up a little bit. It was too loose. You know, it was too out of control. And unfortunately, I didn't have strong coaching. With the exception of Tom Rennie, I played for a lot of fucking, pardon my French, Mark Crawford, Andy Murray, uh, the guy in Dallas who was a real pushover, Tippett. You know, I never played for an NHL coach except Scotty. I mean, Mr. Bowman in Detroit. You just, you know, that was the difference. And I'm not making excuses, but I would have loved to have had that. Oh, Tortorella, how could I have forgot the biggest con man of all time, Johnny T?
Just wanted to say that Tom Rennie was my favorite coach to deal with, and no kidding around, no kidding around. I told him a joke before every single game. You know, it was I had a pre-game show. He was taped with Sam Rosen, and as soon as Sam got through, I told Tom Rennie the gag, and John Rosasco, his
Head of PR.
policemen would stand there like a sphinx while they told the joke. And I'm still in touch with Tom. I love him, and I was I appreciate what you said about him because I love the guy. Just love
Yeah.
the guy.
Yeah, Tom was one of the good guys. Loved hockey. Even the assistant coaches, Perry Pern, uh, Mike. Mike was a great dude. You know, Perry in the game a long time. I don't know. I see the coaching landscape in the NHL currently bothers me as well. So you know, um, I think that I just think there needs to be we got to get some new blood. I look at Adam Foote in Vancouver, and it's like not all players are meant to coach.
How about Berube?
Well, he clearly doesn't. There's something that isn't done before the game. X's and O's are X's and O's. And by the way, extremely important. If you gave me an NHL team to coach and I had a month, I would just say, guys, trust me. You want to make this game easy on yourself? Every time you get to the red line, dump the puck in and chase. You remember when they got rid of interference or obstruction? They didn't really, the game hadn't had enough time to kind of change. Now, no obstruction is no obstruction. We know that that's clear, but these guys skate so fast. And I saw a Kucherov goal the other night. Jake Getzel, who's one of the premier goal scorers in the NHL, he dumped the puck to himself. And that is a lost art, you know? And I think the Rangers, when they come into trouble, they stop playing a simple game and Artemi's not moving his feet and they're not chipping pucks in. When they play straight ahead, they're a big, fast, strong team. And those little guys on the fourth line, like Sherry and the other kid, 53, I can't remember his name.
And they got Cooley. Good.
Cooley plays a straight ahead game. He's a Tom Wilson type player, esque, you know, not there yet by any means. So I think that I would have changed a lot to come back to the question, but I also wish I could play now because oh my god, now I would just I mean, even a guy like Alex Burrows, you use that name now. Alex Burrows, what a player he would be right now. Oh my god. Because his, you know, our size now wouldn't be detrimental to us. We wouldn't have to play through and break through a barrier every single night because it's not really an issue.
Looking back to one of the signal moments in my watching history, the way you blocked out Marty Brodeur, looking back, would you do that differently? It's a great move.
Absolutely. No, I wouldn't do that differently. I think what's the big question, and we've been working on something. I want to know what happened in the 14 hours, right? Because you remember the game happened, I did the thing, we went to bed and we woke up the next morning and the NHL had made a formal announcement that there was a rule change, which I think we all know that they have to go to the Board of Governors meeting in Florida in the summer. You know, Glenn would have to be there with one of our NHLPA reps and they would all vote and that would be the official thing. I would love to know the phone calls that went on that night, you know, between Gary and Bill Daly, and obviously Glenn was involved, and who knows if Jim was involved. But or who knows, maybe they just didn't consult with anyone and they just said, okay, we got to stop this because rules are meant to be interpreted, I think, not broken. I think they're meant to be interpreted. And I think that that was just me finding a loophole to try and help the team win.
If I'm not mistaken, you did win.
We lost that game. We won the series.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sean, if you had to write a scouting report on you, Sean Avery, the player, how would you describe your own game?
Well, if I was to write a scouting report that was effective for my team, I would say let them sleep. Just don't even engage with them because I guess you could call me a parasite to a certain extent. I could only really live if I got some sort of reaction from my host, you know? If they were just dormant and it didn't work. I needed the juice. So that would be my direction to my team. I don't know. I played hard. I played hard every shift, you know? I played hard every shift. I was probably my own worst enemy. I took a lot of penalties early in my career that I didn't need to, but again, it was like survival. Uh, I led the league, and somebody told me this the other day. I kind of had forgotten that I led the league NHL in penalty minutes 2 seasons in a row. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Because all it did was hurt myself. I have less money because of it, really. And you know, maybe I don't know what it did from a winning standpoint because I always think I did balance it out no matter what. You know, I drew a lot and I took a lot.
You really became the people's choice in New York. What was it about playing for the Rangers that clicked so perfectly for you?
I think I got there and I embraced the city. Uh, I would go to Katz's Deli and wait in line for lunch. You know, I went to Staten Island. like, um, I was a New Yorker through and through. I still am. You know, I saw those movies growing up and the taxi drivers yelling at each other, and like I always thought that's the place I gotta live. Is if that's how people greet each other in the morning, it's a blue collar town with 5 blue collar boroughs, and Ranger fans have been the same for a long time. They like the game played a certain way, you know. They value a dollar and the idea of entertainment, and they want to see guys play hard. So that's why I think it kind of, yeah, it was just the right fit.
I got to do a postscript now on that. New York. Okay, so we had lunch with Sean, and when we were going, I don't know, I think maybe we were going to Staten Island. Anyway, the point is, as we walked out of his restaurant, Sean walked out and got on a two-wheeler bike and started to ride his bike down, going west on whatever street. That was pure New Yorker, pure New
Yeah.
Yorker.
Well, and by the way, I only take the subway now. I will not get into an Uber. The congestion, pricing, and the city's changed quite a bit. It's an expensive city. I love the subway. I still love the bikes, the bike lanes. It's the greatest city in the world. It really is.
And I wonder if you ever stop and think about what you actually accomplished, because I read Nick Kiprios's book Undrafted, like he was undrafted like you and made it to the NHL, but you guys that were undrafted make it to the NHL. It's the equivalent of climbing Mount Everest without oxygen barefoot. I kind of wonder, do you ever stop and think about how hard it was and what you did? Like it's an amazing story.
You know, I was with Jeff Courtnall last weekend. You guys remember Jeff Courtnall?
Sure.
Jeff was undrafted, and I didn't know that. And he had just sort of mentioned it to somebody in he was telling a story or it came up. And I kind of said, holy shit, Jeff Courtnall, undrafted. I had no idea. You know, the Courtnall brothers, 1,000 games in the NHL. I would want my team to be made up of 20 to 30% of undrafted guys if I was building a team. And I wonder in Florida how many guys are undrafted. I bet you there's a couple on that team that are undrafted. It's just, you know, there's something different about it. There's something different. Sometimes guys are late bloomers and sometimes guys just need to be given a shot, you know? So yeah, I guess it's funny you think about that. It is something that's quite special. Like I would be proud of that. Like, yeah, I wasn't drafted, you know, and I still made it type of thing. Um, but it's sort of relative to life now. Like to be a famous musician, you don't need a record label anymore. You know, the power of social media and what you can do on your own. I just think that everyone needs to understand that whatever you want to do, you can do it now. There are no boundaries anymore.
What about your acting career? Where does it stand now?
I just finished 6 months on Chris Nolan's new movie called The Odyssey, which I'm not sure when the last time you read that book was, but Homer's The Odyssey. It's the oldest piece of literature ever written. Comes out in July. Um, yeah, I'm gonna win an Academy Award. I'm gonna win a Golden Globe first, and then I'm gonna win an Academy Award. So the beauty is I can do this for 40 more years
Well,
acting.
I remember you were in the Rocket Rashad movie.
Yep.
And are you getting better and better at it as it seems?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just spent 6 months watching Matt Damon work every day. That's like, from a hockey standpoint, that's like being a rookie on a Steve Yzerman team. That's really the equivalent, you know, the best of the best, the sharpest, the the most well respected, and osmosis. You just pick stuff up. You have to. So yeah, I think there's a lot going on. The business is good right now. Listen, you got to be good. You can't be mediocre. If you want to you got to be good, and you got to be better than a lot of people. So it's a constant, physically, mentally. It's a beautiful challenge.
You also had a part in Oppenheimer, right? How was it like to work with Christopher Nolan?
Yeah, I mean that was my second time because I had a smaller part in Tenet, but Oppenheimer, what a movie! What a movie! You know, the history of the world and how things can shift so quickly, certainly with the climate we're in right now. But yeah, Nolan's the Scotty Bowman of film. Yeah, the chief master, the maestro, the guy that just sees what everyone else sort of doesn't see, and then has the ability to make it work. Those are the beautiful. Thank God we have those people.
You're lucky that Samuel Goldwyn, the guy who founded MGM, isn't around anymore. He had a great line. He said, "Anybody who goes to see a psychiatrist should have his head examined."
So you mentioned Matt Damon. You just finished 6 months with Matt Damon, and I'd like to ask about Killian Murphy too. Like, uh, did you interact with them? And what are they like?
Yeah, I mean, Killian and Matt, the scene that we shot primarily, or it's me and the two of them. We were in a car for hours, and this is a great. Killian pitched Matt an idea for a movie while we were sitting in this car waiting in between shots, and they went and ended up making the movie. It was the movie that he made. It was a small independent movie that Damon made, and they have their own studio that they started, sort of like a United Artists, an independent actor run studio. They ended up making that movie, and I listened to them bounce it off each other and pitch. But Killian's he's like a he's like a Phil Housley, very deceptive and not too big, but could really turn a game loose on his own, if he heats up. Yeah, Killian's sharp. He's sharp.
I want to ask you about hockey writers, and particularly your relationship with Larry Brooks, who was the king in New York. How did you and Larry hang out, or how'd you guys couple together as friends?
I think, well, one, I was smart enough to identify that Brooksy was the most important press ally to make, once you got there. And I said it before, Brooksy could change the momentum of a season, could change the momentum of a guy's career. You know, he was always on the inside on everything. And Brooksy didn't pull punches. He did not pull, he didn't fluff, he didn't fluff anyone he just wrote it as it was. And, you know, he understood the game. And I think he also he gave guys time, you know. He didn't wake up right away and go, "No, this guy's a dud." He was just the way that the press should be, you know, which is non-bias and write it as it is, but also, understand that the power of the pen, it's important. And the players read it and the players understand what's going on, and the fans certainly do. So yeah, too early for Brooksy. The toughest thing about Brooksy, losing Brooksy, is his his grandson is a hockey player, and just, thinking, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? Scotty Brooks could maybe end up being in the NHL one day, and like, I don't know. You just, as I get older, you realize how infinite this life is. But Brooksy was the best. He was the best because
His
he
son,
loved.
his son Jordan said that he was touched by the note that you sent to Larry when he was, getting really sick. It was really something special.
Yeah, and you know what this is Brooksy, and Jordan told me this because I saw Yogs. Yogs came. Jaromir Jagr was at the Garden, was in New York a couple weeks ago, and I got to see him. And I posted a video, and Jordan said, "Oh my God, my dad was so happy seeing that video. He loved hockey players. He loved hockey players, and he loved the fact that me and Yogs were so happy to see each other, and like, he was part of that bond, and that's what this whole thing is about. It's turned into like a cutthroat, who's going to get the most clicks, say the most controversial shit. It used to just be a little bit more keeled, like, we know Brooksy's going to be there for 82 games, and it's a roller coaster with this guy. Versus now, it's just all this. It's like there's nothing nuanced about it. There's no poetry. They're all a bunch of bums, boneheads.
My wish for you is to be in a comedy. I want you to make people laugh.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree. I will. But that's a high art. What a what a yeah, I completely agree. I agree with you.
There's a one. Somebody said, "Death is easy, comedy is hard." No, yeah. Um, you talk a lot about
Yep.
Chris Chelios in the book, and I played with a guy in Saskatchewan who played with Chelios in Moose Jaw in
Oh yeah.
junior. And he said he was just even then, as an 18-year-old from California, he said he was just such a schmoozer. Like he could go into any situation and just take charge. And like they'd be at a party and two guys are about to fight, and Chelios would just step in and and diffuse the situation. He said he was just the coolest guy ever. Would you agree?
Yeah, he is. He is. We were in Detroit for alumni weekend, and he's the first guy in the gym. I go downstairs and he's already working out. It's alumni weekend. Nobody's working out. Chelly's in the gym. He's going after it. He's he's an incredible guy. Now he's a grandfather, and he's taking the kids. He fills the car up. It's like you could go anywhere. He's got a little Chevy Chase Christmas Vacation to him. Like, everything is possible. We can do anything at any point in time. But yeah, I mean, he's been a friend for 25 years, what a player. How bad would a team want a Chris Chelios on their ice right now? They just don't make them like they used to.
When growing up, who were the players you looked at and thought, yeah, that's who I want to be?
Well, my favorite player was Brett Hull growing up. My first NHL game, My dad took me, I think it was 92, Maple Leaf Garden. Did they say Maple Leaf Gardens? What did they call it, Stan? Was it plural?
No, it's yeah, it is plural. We have Madison Square Garden,
Yeah.
Maple Leaf Gardens,
So they
and
did
of
call
course,
it the Gardens.
the crazy question is how does a rink, the biggest, the most popular rink in the world, why is it a garden?
Right.
And the answer to that is it started, the first of the four MSGs was a railroad station which was converted into a Barnum Circus, and it was too cold. And then they sold it to a guy who had a flower show, and his name was Gilmore, and he changed the name of the building to Gilmore's Garden. And then he sold it to one of the richest families, and they didn't need their name on it. It was Vanderbilt, but they called it. It was called the Vanderbilt Garden because it
Mm.
was right. He took the name from Gilmore, and it was at Madison Square, so they called it Madison Square Garden. And then when they made the second one, it was Madison Square Garden. And that's how it started. But it became a garden because this guy had a flower show. That's why.
Well, I'm sure Toronto probably took it from that somehow, but Maple Leaf Gardens, 1992, Toronto Maple Leafs versus St. Louis Blues, and I had a sign that said "Hull of a Shot" because I was a Hull fan. I loved Tully, and I didn't play like him, I never played like him, but there was just something about his energy. And then years later, I got to play with him and live with him. Um, what an incredible dude, from Bobby. I came home late one night and I went into the kitchen to get a drink, and I saw the Golden Jet, and he's standing in the fridge, and he's in his underwear, and he's just crushing a thing of a thing of milk, like just crushing it. And he looked over at me and he just kind of gave me a nod, put the milk back in, and went right back to bed. Like it wasn't, he'd seen that scene a million times. But again, think about all those. Like I got to have a relationship with him because of Brett, like Bobby Hull. When we think about it, I mean, Stan, you got to see him play in his prime. He must have been a hell of a player, right?
It was unreal. I did a story on him once. He had done some tremendous thing. It was in Pageant magazine, and he came to New York with the Blackhawks, and they walked into the dressing room, and he starts yelling at me like he's mad. I said, "What's the matter?" He said, "That article." I said, "It was all nice article." He said, "Yeah, but the picture of me had me with no teeth." I said, "Well, I didn't do anything with the pictures, okay?"
Yeah,
And we
yeah,
became pals. But you look at it, it was Bobby Hull, we had Buddy Howe, we had Bobby, Bobby Orr. I mean, these guys
yeah,
were unbelievable.
yeah, yeah.
Elena and I were discussing earlier on TikTok about the original six goalies, and I said, like, if I had to play against Bobby Hull without a mask, I wouldn't have played. And just like being a goalie, I faced 100-mile-an-hour slap shots, but without a mask, not a chance. And um, you, in the book, you describe your rookie dinner in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Um, I and you were left with a pretty hefty bill split between you and somebody else. And then I'm just wondering that when you were no longer a rookie, did you do the same thing to the rookies? Did you take advantage?
Honestly, I never really liked rookie dinners. I thought it was no, I didn't. Guys would walk out with steak knives and do the whole thing, and I'm not a wine drinker. See, that's the thing. Rookie dinners were for the guys that like to drink wine because they could buy anything they wanted. They'd buy that 92 that they've never tried. So I never really got that excited about them. I just thought it was I would rather them give me money. How's that sound? Than waste it. I would have rather them paid a tax like the old days, like they did in Little Italy. Pay me the tax, you know?
Sean, over the years in the NHL, what were some of the things you absolutely loved about the league, and what were some of the things that drove you crazy?
Oh gosh. You know, I mean, I loved playing for Jim Dolan because everything was the best, you know? There's a great story about we were going to Philly for an exhibition game, and if you could if it wasn't an overnight trip, exhibition games you would leave the day of. And we were up in Westchester and the plane didn't work. And I'll tell you, in a matter of 45 minutes, it looked like apocalypse now. There were helicopters, small engine Cessnas. There were so many planes and planes coming out of the sky because now they had to take all of us to Philly, but they had to break us off into groups, like 4 on this helicopter, 5 guys in this plane. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Like they snapped their fingers and they pulled the army. So playing for Jim's the best because they just do everything right. You know, they treat their players incredibly. Town cars, 2 games, home from games. No one in the NHL operates like the Rangers do. It is the cream of the crop.
You still pals with Jim?
Yeah, I see him. I saw him. I went to the basketball game a couple weeks ago. Yeah, yeah. You know, I don't want to tell him that I think that I don't understand some of his decisions, but whatever. I don't own the team. You know, it's his team.
Right.
Sean, you're really into fashion. How was it to work with Donna Wintour?
Oh God. You know, I was working on the Odyssey and Anne Hathaway's in the movie, and Anne was in the original Devil
Prada.
Wears Prada. And now they're making the second one. But I told her, and she said, I heard that, and I didn't know if it was true. I didn't really want to ask you. But like, what another crazy thing to add to the list of things that I've done. But a great experience. A great experience.
What were your responsibilities there? You were an
Not
intern, right? In Vogue.
I brought coffee. I brought coffee and stayed out of the way. And I had I had a car with a, you know, remember the NYPD placards? I had a placard. So normally the interns would have to get on the subway and schlep the bags uptown. I just drove everybody because I could double park anywhere in the city for like 6 years.
Tell me this. What do you think of the league now in terms of which is the best bet to win the cup, or best team in the league right now, the way you see it?
Florida.
Still,
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
with all
Yeah.
the injuries.
Yeah, not doing well right now.
Yeah, but you can't beat them. Colorado, you know, can Colorado beat Florida? Again, I don't think Colorado's built hard enough for May and June. I think McKinnon will get burnt out. And I think the difference is Florida has a third line that can score, a fourth line that can score a little bit, a first line. Barkov's going to come back. Yeah, how are you going to beat Florida? If they're healthy coming into the second half of the season, I don't think you can beat them.
They got a good coach too.
Great coach. Everyone loves him. And you just see him. He's just he's a hockey player, right? That's
So funny. What are the Rangers going to make the playoffs or what?
they're like a yo-yo. You got a good joke about a yo-yo?
No, and I got a good joke about a bridge, which I'll tell at the end of the show. I have to tell a joke. I don't have to, but I'd like to tell a joke at the end of every show.
Okay. Well, the Rangers are extremely inconsistent. I don't know what team I'm going to get on any given night. I just wish they would play like I wish Artemi would play a certain way. If they just move the puck forward and keep it moving forward and move their feet, they're turning into a little bit of a team. Like maybe they're not as bad as I thought, but they have their goalie is so good. So I mean he is elite. He is elite. And we've been watching it for years. He's been making saves for years. But this guy is a serious, serious goalie. Incredible the Russians. Imagine it used to be French Canadians and now the Russians are the best
Yeah,
goalies in the NHL.
that's
What
right.
a but I guess Tretiak really it was in their DNA for the last 40, 50 years as well.
What do you think of the Leafs?
I don't think much of the Leafs.
Are we making playoffs?
I I don't
We need some mean Russians on the team.
here's what I'll say. Easton Cowan, some of their kids that are starting to that's what I want to see. I want to see more of those guys that they drafted that come in and play the right way and help create like an environment and make it fun and play hard. I don't know. I don't know if they have it. I don't know. Dallas, I'll tell you, Dallas is I'm going to start watching Dallas a little bit because they seem real, real good, real good. And you look at some of their players, Wyatt Johnson and Robertson. I mean, these kids are not even, they're approaching their premier years, but the difference between them and 2 years ago, Wyatt Johnson, this kid is unbelievable. I mean, what a player, high level, like a bossy. He's kind of got like a, I don't know. He doesn't, he skates well, but not his release. I don't know. He's an incredible player.
The strike year of 2004, 2005, you missed out a whole year of salary. But looking back on it now from 30,000 feet, did you think that was a necessary evil to get the hard salary cap, or do you still wish it was just a free market system?
No, you need some sort of a cap. You need some sort of a cap revenue share where everybody gets their beak wet. The more money the league makes, the higher the revenue, the salary cap goes up. That was a crazy thing that different time. Bob Goodenow, that was a nightmare. That was a nightmare. That whole season. Yeah, I lost a season. Like it sucks. Really. Anything could have happened. Guys lost out on Stanley Cups. That was stupid. And look how good the league is. What a great business it's being run right now.
I'll tell you a story. 405, the strike year, I was playing beer league hockey back in Vancouver, and a team on the other team came into our dressing room and asked if this NHL player could play, because apparently he was buddies with somebody on the other team. And so we said no problem. So I played a game against Matt Cook,
Oh my God.
and I
You
can
know,
tell you, you say he's a dirty player, and I'll tell you that you're right, because one of our centermen took a pass from behind him, had his head down, and Matt Cook clocked him, and it's a
yeah.
no-hit league. So he got a 4-minute penalty for body checking. But yeah, I just let you know that Matt Cook didn't score on me. I kept him
He,
off the score sheet for you.
good. Good. You should have two-handed him like Billy Smith.
Well, he played defense, so I couldn't get close enough to him.
I got it. Stan, tell me your joke.
Okay. This is a home for only senior citizens. And this guy, Charlie, every day wanted to make his friends happy. So after breakfast, he goes over to the card room. Guys are playing poker. He goes over to Freddie. He says, Freddie, how old are you? He says, I'm 95. He says, you're going to live to be 120. He goes over to Jack. He says, Jackie, how old are you? He says, I'm 88. He says, you're going to live to be 120. He says, oh, Ignat's old there. How old are you? He says, I'm 95. He says, you're going to live to be 120. He goes over to Ira. He says, Ira, how old are you? I'm 120. He says, have a nice day. You got time for one more? You got to go.
Yeah.
One more? Okay. So this guy is he's an archaeologist. He's doing a dig in L.A. near the La Brea Torch, and he finds this a lantern. He rubs the lantern, and Genie comes out. Genie says, you rubbed me, you got me going. You're going to have one wish, any wish you want. And he says, well, I always wanted to go to Hawaii. I want you to build me a bridge from Los Angeles here to Honolulu so I can go to Hawaii. And Genie said, well, listen, you know how much steel it's and how long it take you to build something like that? Why don't you give me another wish? The guy says, okay. He says, I want you to be able to tell me about how women think. What's in the women's mind, and what is it that makes women be the way they are? And the genie says, how many lanes do you want on the bridge? 2 or 4 lanes?
Guys, thank you. Thank you.
Thank
And I
you.
wanted to say, Elena, Teabag, thank you, sir. Go Canucks. Stan,
I just want you to know my nickname has nothing to do with sex.
I didn't think so. I assumed you were the guy that brought the tea on the road trips. Stan, you be safe over there, brother. Okay?
I'm safe. I'm using your spirit.
You be safe. Keep your head on a swivel and your elbows up. All right?
Hey, buddy. Good to see you.
Thank you so much, Sean. This was incredible. Thank you so much for joining us today. We could have talked for 2 more hours. And to everyone listening, thank you for tuning in to Bottle Rocket. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on socials, and we'll see you next Tuesday for the next episode.